Welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS,
I was pleasantly surprised. It's funny, it was fun, it kept the spirit alive.
BlackGirlMarvel,
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tylermakesfilms.
It's like so much depth. It's like nowadays it's, you got A shot, B shot.
All the movie things.
There's some great wide shots in this.
JeannineDaBean.
I like that there were those kinds of tangible ideas.
And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
But this was the first time where I got to see it told in a way where I was like, oh man.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Good evening and welcome to The Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and although I'm not here, I am here. And with me, as always, is BlackGirlMarvel, all the movie things, and JeannineDaBean. No Tyler this evening, but he will be with us again soon. Tonight we are covering a strange pair of films. This is the kind of secondary Godfather film, GoodFellas, 1990, the second best, if you will, gangster film ever made, according to most people. And then, of course, the weird pseudo sort of sequel, My Blue Heaven. And it's because the two movies were written by a husband and wife pair who both heard the same tapes of the same character, the same person that these films were based on, and both films were released in the same year. So this is a really strange pairing, but we will be covering both of them. But first, we're going to move over to the main wall, and we are going to hear from Lala about our social media presence.
Okay, so per usual, anybody that's watching us, anybody that's listening to us, we would appreciate a follow, 5 stars, 4 stars, some comments. It helps the algorithm on both ends push us up and let other people, just get into the real study and get to know us and all that jazz. But please make sure you just follow and sub and comment. It really helps us. Make sure you follow us on all social media. You can also join our Discord to, hop in and talk about great TV shows or films, or you can suggest your own things for us to partake in and watch. And right now we're on I won't say it's a kick, but we're kind of dipping into some old school films, courtesy of JeannineDaBean. Our newest co-host here has been exposing us to some awesome films. And so you can be one of those people that come into the Discord and exposes us to some awesome films that we haven't seen before. So make sure you just follow us on everything. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Back to you, MrSniDBitS.
Thank you very much, La. I appreciate that. And as always, during the beginning of the show, we always talk about movies we've seen in the last week. And I know that being that we saw 2 movies this week that are related to the gangster lifestyle, Italian mafia, if you will, I know Brian saw a movie that's a more modern kind of take on this concept.
Brian.
Tell us about Fresh Kills.
Yeah, Fresh Kills. Yeah, that's a pretty good segue because it's this film. So the whole backstory a little bit, Jennifer Esposito is an actress who's been around for a long time. You've probably seen her in something. She's great, and she's been trying to get this film done for a decade, and then finally she said, screw it, I'm just gonna have to do it all myself, because she kept getting no after no, and she put 2 mortgages on her home, I think is what she actually said.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
to help finance it. And so she's a producer. She wrote it. She's the director, and she also has a pretty significant role in it as she plays the mother of this family, this small mafia family. And really the whole thing is from the perspective of the women in the family, and and it really tests their loyalty, and it's Emily. It's really about 2 sisters, Rose and Connie, played by Emily Bader and Odessa Zion. And it's kind of about also it tests these ideals of family first, and you always honor your family, and you do everything for family and all this kind of stuff. And the girls, kind of grow up in this kind of they don't really know what their dad does, and that's kind of the matriarch's role in a way too, is to shield them from this stuff. but they start to get more involved as they get older. It's harder to hide that stuff, and they and the whole idea of like one sister, Rose, starts to have struggles with like, I mean, is our dad a good guy? Is he actually a good person? Where
Right.
Connie kind of like leans into more of the like, you know, the ideas of like, no, this is our family and we do whatever it takes for the family, you know, and everything. And and it's just like this incredible, like, you know, it doesn't have all those like kind of mafia mob movie tropes, you know, that we see with a lot of like male driven stories like this, but that doesn't mean there like wasn't as much like tension or drama in it. It was almost like
Right.
it was like really heartfelt, and then like it has like, man, it has an end that I was not expecting. Was not expecting
that.
this
Ooh.
may be the first like mafia crime family movie that I've like actually cried at. But it was,
Come on, now I need to
yeah,
watch it.
it's
Yeah.
pretty, yeah, it's
That's
pretty
a great
good.
endorsement.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing too is like, and like Odessa Zion, I mean, holy shit, she plays
She's
Connie.
amazing. I love her as an actress.
Man,
She's
she's
great.
in this though. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen her really in anything else, but it was like, I almost felt like, does she like have like a background in this kind of world? Because it like felt like this is like a lived in thing for her, you know. And it's like set during the like late 80s and early 90s. And so like the costumes and everything are great, you know. And the production design was so good. And I don't know how much the budget was, but I imagine it wasn't. I mean, it's a full indie movie, you know. There's no like big Hollywood studio backing this, you know. Hopefully like there'll be some bigger distributor that'll like maybe, you know, buy it. And this is probably one that I would like to have on physical media if they do a 4K version. So
I hope they do, just for you. I really
yeah, no,
do.
Yeah.
just for, yeah, and like,
no, just for you, Brian. Like for real, like a
Brian
great, like a
movie.
great steel cover,
yeah,
a
that'd be nice.
great like
Right at the bottom, it'll
artistic
just
cover or something like that.
feel
Yeah.
right for Brian, right at the bottom.
Brian
corner.
I mean,
edition.
she
Yeah.
she was very
Yes.
she was very sweet. I was surprised to like being mutual with her on TikTok. We've been mutuals for a bit now, and I've kind of like seen a little bits of this in the early stages and stuff like that, and her talking about it. And I'm like, I've always been like a big supporter of like women in film and
Very true.
just like women-led stories. And this is like a lot of women power behind this, you know. A lot of producers were women on this. And I think it's just a fascinating way to like take this crime drama mafia type film and like turn it on its head and like really just have this like very emotional driven kind of story. There's like so much more I could say about it. I mean, the cinematography is great. Man, but like, yeah, so it has like this kind of slow build, you know, but like there's like these tense moments and like they kind of like start happening more and more as the film goes on. Then suddenly it's just like comes to a head, you know, and it's like,
Nice.
oh man, yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
It's really cool.
It's
Looks
really
like
good.
it won a bunch of awards, or it was the official selection, I should say, for a bunch of
Yeah,
festivals.
it was at Tribeca.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of the
Cinequest.
notable ones. Yeah, but it has
Is this the film that won the Nora Ephron Award at the Tribeca Film Festival? I believe.
I
this
don't
the one?
I don't know if
I don't see it mentioning that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay. Okay, maybe I'm getting confused with something else.
but
You know who her mom is though? Her mom is an amazing voice actress. Like she also acts as well. Like she's been in like This Is Us, Californication, like
right.
like the
Yeah,
Jeff,
yeah, yeah.
like stuff like that. But she's been like she voiced on like Bobby's World, King of the Hill, Rugrats, Phineas and Ferb, Recess, Bob's Burgers. Like her mom's like an amazing, like talented actor. So yeah,
That's funny.
I like it.
Yeah. So like it has a very limited release right now, but hopefully be interesting to hear how well it did this weekend because this was like the first opening weekend.
that's cool. I'm gonna look into
She
that.
was kind enough to send me a screener of it
Nice.
ahead of time and everything. Yeah. So
That's super
Yeah,
cool.
you came out of TikTok retirement.
yeah, it was like myself. I call it my self-imposed exile from TikTok, and I was like, yeah, I gotta show my support. So
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Okay, well, let's see. I did watch a movie this week. I've been going on a Hitchcock kind of run
Yeah,
on
I
all the
noticed.
Hitchcocks that are
Yeah.
lesser known. Not that they're unknown, but they're not. You don't hear Vertigo and Rear Wind. Those are getting thrown around a lot. But I watched the movie Rope. Anything with Jimmy Stewart in it, I'm going to watch just kind of by default because he was the GOAT. There's something about that voice that just always
He's done
draws me in.
a couple
Couple Hitchcocks?
Hitchcock films. Like, yeah.
Just one or two, maybe.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe half of them.
Yeah.
It's him and
Quite a
Cary
few.
Grant.
Cary Grant,
This
Yeah.
this movie is not. It could easily be a stage play if it wasn't already. But I do believe that they should
Right.
remake it because this movie doesn't. There's no time or place that it would take place. It can be any time at in any place.
Yeah.
Because it's literally about young people doing really silly things with murder in order to prove themselves as people in the society. They have a philosophy professor who is Jimmy Stewart, and he has always taught them this philosophy of murder is for the elite. And they're like, all right, well, we're elite. Let's do it. And in the very beginnings
do
of the
murder.
movie, let's do murder.
Yeah.
The very beginning of the
Pretty
movie, I'm
much.
talking like in the first 2 minutes, they are
Man.
strangling their fellow student to death. And the movie is so ridiculously dark without showing a stitch of other than the one moment of murder.
Yeah.
It's so dark because the entire time they're having a party with his body present at the party.
Oh, geez.
And I don't want to say much more than that, but that's enough to make you go, "Holy crap! Maybe I should watch this." Because
Wait.
And not like
constantly-
Bill and or not it's not like
Yeah.
Weekend at Bernie's.
not
At
Weekend at
Bernie's,
Bernie's.
no.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
dead in
It's
a
like hiding
shadow.
in plain sight. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
right.
wait. Repeat that again. Say
Not a
that. Say that.
puppet.
So
They
it's
have a
the-
party with him
so
there,
they
like
both
his dead
invite-
body there.
The whole thing
Yeah.
He's
up.
dead,
Yeah.
and then the party starts, and it's not just a regular party. Like these dudes are sick, like they're really sick because they invite the family, they invite the
Oh my
fiance. It's really dark, and it's
What?
a very philosophical film because at the end
Yeah.
it's
Right.
talking about the philosophy of murder. And Jimmy Stewart has a great speech at the end of the film about it. But be prepared, it's a 40s film, so you'll get all your credits up front and then an abrupt at the
Yeah.
end. At the
Right.
end.
It's so funny. I know. I always forget about that. I'm like, oh yeah, it's over.
Oh
Like,
yeah. No credits.
Yeah.
No long
what?
credits.
Yeah.
no.
It's brilliant. I think it deserves all the hype it gets. It gets like a really high rating. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I think it's really solid.
Oh, nice.
Now,
but
wasn't this
it's
also
funny.
shot to look like one? Like this is an early film that was shot
Yes.
to look like one take.
It's a oneer in 12 pieces.
Yeah.
And the reason was the limitations of the cameras. It was not that
Right.
they didn't want to or that Hitchcock wouldn't have. So what they did was they'd zoom in on somebody's suit and then zoom back out at the beginning of the
Yep.
take.
And that was like
So
a
that it was
transition.
a nice clean cut. There are about
Yep.
12 cuts and you can see every one of them. Like it's
Yeah.
almost obvious. But
Yeah.
clever. This is
He's
why I
trying.
mentioned
Yeah,
he
he
was
was trying things. That's the thing. He was like,
Mhm.
really was.
Let's
And
try
his
this.
shots
Yeah.
are the more I watch him, the more I see why he got the hype he got because
Right.
the dude knew how to
Yeah.
set up a shot. In fact, we get to Goodfellas. There's a moment where I swear Scorsese used an exact Hitchcock moment. And I
Wouldn't
think
be
it was
surprised.
from Rope,
Really?
actually, which is really crazy.
Right.
We'll get to
Wouldn't be
that.
surprised.
And there's also
I
a
wouldn't-
winner in Goodfellas.
And there is a really good winner for a weird
There's
reason.
also a crazy Zolly in it too. That's like super subtle.
You'll have to point that out when we get to
Yeah.
Goodfellas. The thing I wanted to point out about Hitchcock is that I think he plays for that last line in the film. That's his entire film is leading to that last moment because if you watch The Man Who Knew Too Much, the last line is the funniest joke. It's like the most ridiculous joke about all this mayhem. And it's kind of like aw shucks at the end, and you're like,
Right.
what? Aw shucks after all the murder and kidnapping?
Yeah.
But that was Hitchcock. He had kind of that wry
Yeah.
humor about him. But yeah, if you haven't watched the lesser known Hitchcocks, please give them a shot. They're
Yeah.
just as good as the more known ones. So yeah.
Cool.
I didn't see that Janine or La put a poster up for this week. Did you guys watch
No.
anything
No, sir.
of note? Okay. No worries. Plenty to talk about with these other movies.
Watch
so
my
let's-
eyelids as I fell asleep this weekend.
That's a good movie sometimes though. We all need the
Yeah,
watch
you know what
that
I'm
movie.
saying? Best picture in my book. Best picture.
All done
Is
in
it an
one take.
8-hour film? Is it a 6-hour film? What are we talking?
It was about a 5.5 hour film. That's
Oh,
that's
Mm.
that's as long as my films go. Okay,
Yeah.
it's
Five and a
sad,
half
really.
hours of Watch My
Pretty
Eyes,
much.
directed by Law.
But as Bryce said, one take, man.
One take.
I'm
Yeah.
a one take genius out here.
Yeah.
One take.
It's my Warner.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this weird kerfuffled match of films.
Yeah,
Such a
very
strange pairing.
polar opposites.
Please.
And polar opposites, but you can still see how they completely connect. It's really weird what does and doesn't connect. Well, there's
I had a
plenty
hard time.
there's plenty of liberties
Yeah,
taken with
yeah.
the comedy, but there's liberties taken with the drama too. Like, to be honest, not all of it's 100% real.
It's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
till it gets to be.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Let's start with Goodfellas, of course. And I assume everybody's seen Goodfellas, being one of the most famous films. I assume. Law, we got to check.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Wait, what? What
You've
happened?
seen
What
some
I
of the
missed?
famous ones sometimes, and so, but I get it. I have too. So
Oh yeah, I mean it's cool.
okay. So let's just start. Let's start with Law, since you're right there. Let's start with you.
So I saw Goodfellas a long time ago. I can't tell you when. Don't even know how old I was, but I do remember seeing it. But I haven't seen it in years. So watching it now was like I didn't see it before. So it's
Right.
like
Same for
I'll
me.
count this as like I'll count this as like my first time seeing it, and I'll say fully seeing it because like I'm an adult now. I can
Right.
watch it in its entirety. I can understand the nuances. I can understand what's going on in the story. I see why this film is what it is. You know what? I will say maybe I was like 19 and 20 when I watched this because, for context, I'm 37 now. I'll say that because I had an ex-boyfriend who loved gangster films. He was not gangster in the slightest, but he loved these films. Isn't that usually how it works?
His name is Eugene. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I remember him really liking this film. He really wanted me to watch it, and I could give two fucks about it. I could 1920 get out of here. And plus I'm heavy into animation like my entire life, so this was like what am I doing here? But I like this person. I watched it with them and I was like, oh my yeah, this is amazing, and I didn't care. But now I see why this film is what it is. I see why Scorsese does not leave the gangster genre because he just seems to love it. He seems to thrive in it, which is sad because I feel like he's a great director enough to kind of branch out way more than he kind of does.
He made
Mind
Wolf
you,
of
I don't
Wall
know his
Street,
whole
which is
I don't know
the
his
same
whole
movie about-
filmography. I don't know his whole filmography, but but that was still kind of like a hustler in my book, in like a gangster in a different type of way.
You know,
But
I was
I'm just
agreeing
saying
with you. Yeah, totally. with
Oh
you.
no, I know for sure. But this was like a fun film. It was funny. I like Joe Pesci in anything. So if you put Joe Pesci in a film, I'm gonna watch it because it's something about the way that he acts that I 100% just likes. Like he's always this person. Because even in Lethal Weapon, he's this person, just like
But he's like
tapered
unhinged.
down a little bit.
Yeah.
He's very unhinged. I was waiting for his death.
Man.
I was
Oh,
waiting
yeah.
for him to die.
Right?
I was like,
You're like, it's
somebody
coming. Yeah, he can't
needs to
just
kill
go.
him. He can't
Yeah.
keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like everybody has his back. I'm like, stop the press.
I know.
Somebody murdered this guy. And finally, and one of my favorite things about his death, and I know that sounds crazy if somebody just came in the middle of this conversation, but one of my favorite things about his death is that when he walked into the room, he knew it immediately, and boom, he got shot.
Well, he's been on the other end of that gun so many times.
No, for sure. Like
Yeah.
he's like seeing the room and noticing that like nobody was in it. It was just like a basement like room. He knew it was like
Yeah.
I done messed up. Also, the scene where they're like, he about to be a made man, and they all excited and they all like kissing him and stuff. I was like, y'all been his friends since he was a child. Did y'all really think they was gonna make this unhinged, gun crazy person a made man? Like, do you? I was like, y'all was dumb for thinking that. I was like, okay, but I like the story of Henry Hill. I like the beginning, setting up his family, setting up his home life, showing that like he did have a bit of a bad home life. And he saw this other life as like an escape, as more glamorous, which happens a lot in like different communities. Like you grow up in a certain household, when you look out and you see people just kind of like living their life and they have no worries and they're respected, you kind of want to go that route. And so like, to me, that's very believable, makes sense. I've seen it within like my own family. I've seen it like just looking outside my window when I was a kid, like I've seen this. So his story is a story that like I think it's very relatable. I mean, besides like the whole like supremely gangster stuff that I have not been a part of, but I know people that have been a part of that in some type of way, so it does make sense. This film had like, it was very funny. It had some okay, Lorraine Bracco, my God, she's
Yeah.
I was watching her the entire time and I was like, why do I know this woman? Her voice, her face. Why do I know this woman?
Yeah, she's
and
very.
it's because I watched Rizzoli and Isles and she was the mom.
Oh yeah,
one of the moms in
she's
Rizzoli
in
and Isles.
Sopranos also.
I've never seen The Sopranos a day in my life. So like,
little
I'm
fun
gonna get to
fact.
it one day though.
27 actors from Goodfellas are in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
27.
And I love everything about that. It was like a reunion essentially for The Sopranos. It's like a Goodfellas reunion. But I don't know. She's an amazing actress. Every time she opened her mouth, I was like just watching her. Anytime she yelled or got angry or like just the intense gaslighting of her and just like the fact that I love the voiceover because like sometimes voiceovers aren't used correctly, and I feel like voiceovers in this film was used in a way to enhance the film because outside looking in, I could be like, "Are you stupid? You should have been left." And then you hear her voiceover like, "I'm stupid, but I stayed because like I love him." You know what I'm saying? Like,
because he was looking good.
You know what I'm saying? He's attractive and I can't kill him. Or like, I like this lifestyle. Like, and you don't hear the truth like that from a lot of people when they're like, I stayed because like, look at the life that I had. Like, yeah, it came with some issues, but hey, I stayed. And I like that part of the voiceover. I like the honesty in that. This was a really, I had a lot of fun with this film. Robert De Niro was looking fine. Okay. Oh my God.
Was it the pinky ring on every suit?
Listen here. It was the gray hair. Okay. When we went more towards the future, I said a gray hair De Niro because he looks great now with the gray hair. I'm like, I love it. I will say this though, age wise, you can't tell me that Ray Liotta was 21. Okay.
No.
Even in 1990, bro wasn't 21. I don't care what nobody say. He was not. That was
we didn't have the like the way they can young you down like Bridgerton. Right?
Oh, for sure. But even like makeup wise, we could have probably did something different. We could have like, I don't know.
That's where you.
I mean, during his like. Right. During his coke benders,
I mean,
it didn't matter as much, but
no, coke bender that worked perfectly. The
right,
age was spot on. The hair was messed up. Face was juicy.
Like, oh my God,
I was like, this is perfection.
So paranoid.
When he was at the table laughing at Joe Pesci, that ain't no 21-year-old man. That was like grown man. All right, but like I said, it's 1990. I was just like, it's fine. He was great in the role. Like, I'm not gonna like knock the whole like, because I was literally charting his age. I was like, okay, it started in 1950. He looked like he might be like 17 or something like that. Then it was like 19. It's like 8. It was like 8 years later. I was like, this. And then she was like 21. I was like, he ain't 21. But I was like, it's all good. Yeah. But this was a interesting film. For it to be 2 hours and 26 minutes, it honestly felt longer. But I was okay with that. For me, it felt longer. It felt like it was some shots in there that I was like, okay, we could cut. It was too, it's a little too long. But I still enjoyed every frame. I still enjoyed every scene. I still enjoyed the film, even though I was just like, but for me, Blue Heaven wasn't short enough. But continue. I'll just let everybody talk about it.
We'll get to that for sure. Yeah. All right, Brian. I know you've seen Goodfellas a couple of times at least.
Yeah, just a
tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of my absolute all-time favorite films ever. I love it so much. I really don't know how many times I've seen it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it. But just like everything about it for me, like like cinematography wise too, like camera work is really great in this. I mean, there's a lot of classic Scorsese style stuff. He loves moving that camera, in like quick and going in and out real quick. And like there's like the classic, the like iconic Steadicam oneer that we follow Henry and Karen, follow them through like the club, through the back and the kitchen and everything, and which is like, if you think about it, like that's a lot of people in that takes place, and a lot of stuff, just a lot of stuff happening. Like you have to reset if you mess up like once and you got to go back.
Well,
and,
like there's the one moment where the guy with the tray walks between the camera
Yeah,
and the couple,
like-
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And just all those people in the kitchen, you know, so many
Yeah.
things happening. It's so good. Bringing that table in for them, you know, at the very end of
Yeah.
the shot, and then like coming around and seeing them. Just I love that kind of stuff. And there's a Zolly in the diner between De Niro and Ray Liotta. That it's like the slowest Zolly. But if you watch it again, pay attention to like the background, like outside, you know, and because like it's just going in really slow as they're like pushing in. It gets closer. By the end of the scene, is like it's more of like a medium shot on them, but like the background starts compressing, like kind of weird, and it's just really slow and subtle, but it does something for you with that scene because the way that scene is like
It almost makes you feel
about.
distant from Jimmy because that's what's
Yeah.
happening. Is they're
Yeah, there's
pushed so far
something
apart.
happening there, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's supposed to kind of represent like what's going on in like Henry's mind, really, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what what else I could say about this film. It's like I mean, like there's some like stories behind this too. Like there's certain like there's that one really like it got I think I think the MP well as MPAA at the time, but I think they had a hard time with it because it was so violent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's the scene where he like walks across the street to that guy and like beats the hell out of that neighbor or whatever. Um and that was so violent because like they don't like cut away at all. Like they follow him the whole time and like they hold on it and like they don't like cut to like Ray Liotta or anything like that. They like make us see how violent it is, you know, and sit through the whole thing. And like there was like there's another version of that whole scene where like it's cut up a different way, but it almost feels worse with the cut. Some people thought so. It was like this weird thing that they struggle with, like that one scene specifically. Um, but yeah, I
I
mean,
heard the MPAA said they had to cut 12 frames of blood to get down to an R rating.
right? Yeah, that's how they work sometimes. But it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's funny what was a PG-13 film and what was an R-rated film. You know, just that borderline. But yeah, Goodfellas, it's a classic for a reason. It might be one of Scorsese's best films. What's funny too is like Law mentioned the like voiceover, the narration. I feel like it's like My Blue Heaven does a thing where they don't really do narration, but they do those like
Those
title cards.
Title cards,
Yeah,
yeah.
where that's almost like his like voiceover.
Yeah, that's like their version.
Like her version
Yeah.
of it, yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I was
they're
to me, I
both
was like,
from the interviews of Henry Hill. So the
Right.
actual voiceovers, the narration in Goodfellas is almost, they said almost word for word what Henry
Yeah.
Hill told during the interviews.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
which is great. So I assume that, you know, for Blue Heaven, they
They
just
did
kind of,
something similar.
they were like, you got to keep this narrative concept going.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I love it. I wonder
Awesome.
what my rating's going to be, but well,
Janine,
I
tell
wonder
us what
too.
you think about Goodfellas. How many times have you seen it? Gangster movie. We'll get to where it ranks in gangster films in a little bit because that's being talked about in the chat. So we'll bring that up.
So very much like Law, like this felt like a first time watch almost because I had seen it one time very long ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This film made me fully aware of the types of violence I consume. Like I consume two very specific kinds of violence. So this was kind of jarring for me because I hadn't watched violence like this in a while, I think.
yeah.
Because I feel like I'm used to either like the very stylized choreographed violence of like a John Wick or like a superhero
Right.
movie, or the very over the top violence of a horror movie. So the fact that this
Yeah.
violence felt so visceral and real and
Yeah.
nasty
Yeah,
and
yeah.
brutal. Yeah,
It was
like
like
it
grounded
was
violence.
making me physically feel things like, oh my
Right.
gosh. So I liked feeling kind of that shock of the violence in this film, the realism of the violence in this film. So I liked that it kind of made me aware of kind of the stuff that I consume. But yeah, I also like that there wasn't this like huge effort to kind of see these characters as gray, and it was kind of this depiction of realizing that there are different versions of normal, and this was just their version of normal.
Mhm.
That's just the life that they lived. So it was really casual for them to kill people and do all of these insane things and live this lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah. And I liked seeing the kind of grit behind the glamour of this lifestyle. All of the great things that come from it, but all of the nasty things you have to do to
Mhm.
maintain it.
Obtain it. Yep.
Yes. And I love like his monologue and talk about kind of Goodfellas feeling this brotherhood and you feeling great when you feel like you're in it. But then
Yeah.
all of the mistrust and betrayal that's still in it, but yet you still want to be a
Yeah.
part of that and you still like hold it as this great title, even though it's like 1 minute you're a part of it and then the next minute you're hanging in a meat locker. So
Mhm.
like just really loved kind of the grittiness of it, that it was making me feel real visceral things. There
Mhm.
wasn't like this false attempt to like have you sympathize really with anybody. You
Yeah.
just kind of saw
Yeah.
them as they were in their truest state, in their form of normal.
Mhm.
So I don't really watch a lot of like mob crime movies. Like it's not a genre that I gravitate towards. But I was glad I got the opportunity to revisit this film because like like it was like now me getting to watch it as an adult, really kind of understanding
Yeah.
everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I found myself really getting into it, really feeling things about it, and
Mhm.
really enjoying seeing this other side of a character that,
Yeah.
because typically things I watch, you're meant to kind of find something positive in them or see them as
Right.
gray and understand
Yeah.
why they do the bad things they do. There was really none of
Mhm.
that, and I appreciated seeing
Yeah.
kind of that perspective. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
I found myself really enjoying it.
there's not a redeemable character in the film
Yeah.
Mhm.
to speak of.
Everybody dirty. Everybody dirty.
I guess maybe the cop putting him into witness protection at the end, but apparently played by the real
No.
cop that was that cop.
Oh.
I still say no to
Yeah.
him because he's still kind of dirty because he was just like, yo, I don't need you. I really just need him. But hey,
Him,
if you want
yeah.
to go
Well,
home
okay,
and
yeah,
wanna
like
die,
tag along,
justice
whatever,
duty.
lady.
Yeah, that makes sense.
if
I
you and
like
your
that.
kids want to go home and die, that's cool. We
That's
just
fine.
trying to. I was like, oh my God. But then when he started going in about her actually, like, he's like, we got the wiretaps. You knew about this. Don't act like you didn't know. I was
Yeah, we
like,
heard you on the phone. Yeah.
So, do you guys
it's like,
want
you
to
kind of got her.
I read way too much trivia about this because I've seen the movie so many times. I was like, I've got to read it
Love
all.
it.
And so this is a funny one. That guy that played that cop, who's supposed to be the real cop that did that, says in his interview that Henry had both both girlfriends sitting in the hall during that interview, saying he wanted
That's
them
wild.
involved.
That is
Bring
insane.
them
That's
to, he said.
wild. That's wild.
What a great guy, right? What a
Yeah.
great guy.
But on brand. That's wild, but on brand at the same time.
It really is on brand, and I couldn't believe that he like had the audacity to not only have a girlfriend but then also have a second mistress to his mistress, who was also like his
Yeah.
drug pusher or dealer.
I just never
pusher.
understood that. Why get married? Just
Well, what's
be
bizarre to
be a
me
full-time bachelor.
is the like
Like,
this like need to go to his girlfriend's house and be like, he's my man, leave him alone, get your own man. And I get it, like it's the stock,
Yeah.
the lifestyle would be hard to give up once you've had stacks of cash. It would be very difficult to be like, I'll just go be poor and have two kids. That would be hard. But so would be living the lifestyle. I believe I saw this film on video cassette because it would have been, I was 13. I don't think I ran to the theater to see this one. But I did watch it pretty early on. Anything with any of these guys in the 90s was worth giving a shot. And I always remembered Casino, was right after this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, Casino, but they're not even remotely related in any way. What I do think is great is this film feels like a spiritual successor to The Godfather, in the sense that if you watch The Godfather, you have an idea of how the Italian mafia family operates in America
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
what the rules are. So when you walk into this, you don't need Henry to explain it all to you,
No.
because you're like, yeah, I've been there. I was the fly on the wall.
I'm versed.
Right. As much as Joe Pesci's character Tommy is wildly, completely unhinged, the character that scares me the most is Jimmy, and it's because Jimmy shows that he's not just unhinged, but he's unhinged against everyone, including people close to him, and he doesn't care. And at one point, Henry even says it's his money. He took the money. Now he thinks it's his, and nobody's going to get around that.
Mhm.
And I think Maury just kind of pushed him too far, I think, with that and people flaunting their cash.
I'm not mad at Maury, but I'm mad at Maury at the same time. Because it's like you've been around these people enough to know that like you can't do that. You're going to die. Like you can't do that. Like you've been around them long enough. But then I also understand him because he was like, if I didn't help y'all with this, y'all wouldn't get this $6 million. So like just give me my 500 and I'll be like, I'll leave you alone.
Had he shut his mouth though, they would have paid him up front. Like he probably would have been paid right off, but because he was a ball buster, everybody hated him. And he just was like, "We'll just take your money, dude. We don't need you."
That's why I'm back and forth about it. I get it, but it's also like, bro, you know they kill people,
right?
Like just you know what I'm saying, zip the lip and just go live your life, go sell some more wigs or something, like toupees or whatever, and just wait for the money to come in. But and that much money, $6 million, and
in the 70s.
In the 70s,
right? In the 70s, like you really gotta like play that correctly,
right?
And he was already paranoid the moment he got that money,
right?
Because if you think about it, if everybody would have just ganged up on him and like killed him, they could have got that money,
right?
So he was already paranoid. And then for you to just be in a bar yelling about he owe me this and I need this and da 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 da.
Oh geez,
he's already strangled you 3 times, dude. Like
you feel me? Like
you would have figured
like,
it
come
out.
on, bro. Let's be a little smarter about it. And that's the only redeeming part. And I'm sorry, Sniddy, I'll let you finish. But like, this is the only redeeming part for me about Henry. Slightly, not completely, just slightly, is that he was the only one that tried with everybody. Like he was the one that was like, he's the soother of like the group, right? Like you could tell that he really didn't have the stomach really for too much of it. Like he did, but he didn't, because he was the softest one in
when
my
they
book.
were getting rid of bats.
Yeah, like he's the softest one in the group. Right.
Yeah,
like,
like
he's not above like hitting you in the face with a gun and scaring you off and threatening and stuff like that. But I don't think we saw him kill anybody. Like he was always just a part of somebody dying, like, type of thing.
That
he's
was
like
just
the
what it
softest
was.
one.
So.
Right. And he's the one that keeps trying to be like, yo, chill out. Like he was the one that tried to like soothe things. He was just like, I'm just here for the lifestyle and like getting this money and just living great. I'm just trying to, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to eat good and just like, you know what I'm saying?
But that's what makes him
chicks and go about my day.
That's what makes him our protagonist, is he really is kind of the good guy, quote unquote, in this situation. He'll only threaten to kill his wife. He'll only threaten to beat his wife. He doesn't actually do it. So terrible.
Such a good guy.
I know.
Such a great person.
That only is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
He really is.
That only is tired. It's like,
so the scene where they go to Tommy's mom's house, who apparently, by the way, that's Scorsese's mom.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. I love that Scorsese's mom.
He told her, "This is your son Tommy. He's coming over for dinner," and that's all he told her. He didn't tell her about the trunk. He didn't tell her
just like rolled with it.
So she thought they were just having dinner in a normal movie, and of course they're doing this tongue-in-cheek stuff, about what's really happening. And that's the moment I wanted to talk about, when Jimmy mentions the trunk and then looks at the trunk. Quite literally, they mention it, and there's a person in the room that has no idea what's being talked about, and then they pan out to the trunk. It's almost verbatim a shot from Rope. Like they talk about it, and then they pan over to the trunk where there's a dead body. And I was like, "Oh, Scorsese, you're amazing." So, and the fact that I saw that was this great like play out. But the more film you watch, the more you catch those things.
I think Scorsese, he lists Hitchcock as like one of his like favorite directors.
I don't think you could do suspense or this kind of film work without.
Well, like I
think that makes sense too.
And like a lot of them, like Scorsese is among like Spielberg and Coppola and like all those. He's part of like that crew of directors that like
those GoodFellas
really just loved film itself and just studied film and studied all these old directors and everything. So like, Hitchcock is guaranteed on like
tops
all of their lists,
right?
So,
and there's probably a shot from him in all of their movies somewhere, like at least one from each of them.
You brought up the Joe Pesci scene, and when you brought up, him walking into that room and knowing that that was the end for him, that reminds me of an end of a Hitchcock film. And I don't know if Brian watched it yet, or if Snitty's watched it yet, so I don't want to say. But when you said that, it reminded me.
Can you message me what film that is?
Yes.
Because now I'm thinking I need to get into Hitchcock films. So
yes.
you do, because you and you do want to go in blank, because knowing nothing is what makes them great. A spoiler would ruin them, and it's really this. I don't know. It's making the more classics I watch, the easier it is to watch more classics. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I get
my palate, and it's easier to. The dialogue isn't as hard to handle. The pacing isn't as hard to handle. And most of the time, I'm like, what are they doing here? What's going on? Why? I'm asking why a lot.
And you're just kind of impressed by a lot of the filmmaking, because it's such an early time. You never expect,
like the stuff they had
expect them to do, to get the shots that are so easy to accomplish today.
1927
more impressive.
is so beautiful. Like, how did the film quality look that good? Like, turn that movie on, and I'm like, what? And then every trope you've ever seen about capitalism and cities and it's all like right there. I'm like, oh, everybody's just ripped this movie off. Okay, now I know. And that's really what it boils down to.
That's me with musicals. I watch old school musicals. Like, that's where my old school movie brain is with like the Judy Garlands and the Gene Kellys and the Frank Sinatras and the stuff like. I mean, I watch like those old. So when I see musicals now, I'm like, y'all not slick. This was it, you know what I mean? So like y'all having that brain of being like, oh, these original like films, you come to these like more modern ones, you're like, oh, they took from that. So like that's where my brain goes with that. So like I need to get more on the old school non-musical side of it.
Great. I can give you some recommendations for sure.
Please do. I'm A-okay with recommendations. I love a good recommendation. So please do, because Alfred Hitchcock already sounds interesting. Everybody lists him as like one of their favorite like directors of all time.
And I've seen some films. Go off the beaten path. Don't just do the mains, of course. Do Vertigo, do Rear Window, but do the other ones. I'm telling you,
the ones people don't talk about. People don't really. I got you. I got you. I'm open to it all.
He has a hell of a filmography. There was some conversation about automatically whenever Goodfellas gets brought up, there's always this comparison, as I even did, to Godfather. I saw Reservoir Dogs mentioned. So what is the greatest gangster film if you're going to put Goodfellas on the list? Where do you guys think it ranks? American Gangster. Interesting. Okay.
I'm just saying that because Denzel Washington needs to be a part of the gangster genre. Like, he just needs to.
You are not wrong.
Like more.
Frank Lucas, him playing Frank Lucas was amazing. He was great in that film. Like, that was a good film to me. But yeah.
I own that one.
I'll always talk about how that's better than
what don't you own, right?
Well, I don't own Goodfellas. Actually,
wow, fire!
Is it 4K Blu-ray or 4K Steelbook?
They have a 4K of it, but there's no like. I kind of hold out for Steelbooks. So like, and they've been doing like this like re-release of some previous Steelbooks quite a bit. So I'm hoping like we're gonna see a new release of Goodfellas coming up at some point. So yeah.
Wait it out.
Kind of holding out.
Fingers crossed for you, man. Fingers crossed for you. Hope it happens. No, I truly do, because I know you like your steelbooks, and I used to.
It's hard to know what's going to
come out with the version
exactly.
that you want. Exactly. Yeah. So I really hope you get that, man.
Well, like when Collateral and Drive both announced steelbooks, I was like
on it.
Yeah.
Sold
on the pre-order button for sure. Yeah. It's like, but I gotta wait.
Collateral on my list of movies to show my wife, because I think she'll really like it. Especially
I love Collateral.
It's
a film that I didn't think those two actors together made no sense to me, and then when I watched the film, they made perfect sense to me. I was
like, could you picture Tom and Adam Sandler? That's the question.
No.
He was the original choice for the Jamie Foxx role. So.
Yeah,
but you never know though.
Adam can bring it.
But for me, Adam is such an anomaly where it's like you don't think he'll work in something, and then he'll do it, and you'll be like, damn, bro.
As long as he doesn't sing or do his old Billy Madison style voices,
doesn't do his
none of that.
I really feel like he only does that in his own movies. I feel like when he's cast in other people's films, He doesn't do that at all, but that's his comfort
He's
in
the
like
Happy
all his
Madison of the
movies.
movie.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he's
And an
great.
actor in Goodfellas appears in an Adam Sandler film. So
I'm going to agree with Morgan. Morgan's been here present, and I really appreciate that, Janine, that
Hey,
you
Morgan.
invited Morgan
Thanks
to
for
show
being
up.
here.
And Morgan should come on the show sometime so that we can hear from him directly. If you know that, if y'all want that. But
No,
yeah,
I don't want
40s
Morgan on the
Hitchcock.
show
Like
at all.
everybody always
No,
talks about Psycho. They talk about The Birds, which actually, the
Yeah.
further I get into Hitchcock, The Birds is weak sauce. Like it's okay. I don't hate it, but it's not his best.
I appreciate it for like the how they
effects.
tried to do effects. Yeah. The
Right.
early kind of
Yeah.
matte
Agreed.
paintings.
But
and those kind
the
of
story's
Yeah.
not compelling like the rest of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I think my
but
grandmother
40s.
loved The Birds.
I agree with the 40s
I think The
Hitchcock.
Birds was a VHS that came double because it was so long. I think The Birds had like 2
Interesting.
VHS. Like how
Like
Titanic had
Titanic.
2 VHS. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so. And if I remember correctly, and my grandmother loved The Birds. I remember watching The Birds, but not knowing what it was. I was just like, oh, this is wild. And I would just walk away as she would watch the film. So yeah, now I need to get back into that. But yeah, it's interesting.
Huh. That's okay. Let's see. There was one other piece of trivia I liked that I wanted to give you guys. No, 2. One deals with the word fuck, which of course we know is said a lot of times in the film. 321 times for an average of 1 every 2 minutes.
Yeah, was that like a record for the?
I think it was at the time, but then the 90s came along and said, nah.
Hold my beer. Yeah.
But Tarantino was like, excuse me, I can do this.
He was like, hold my censor button. Here you go.
Right.
I got this. Don't worry about it. I will say this though. I do appreciate Goodfellas for only having dropped the N word with the hard ER only twice. It was only 2 times, I believe. If I counted correctly, it was only twice. And I was
you
like,
thaught that was Sam Jackson, right?
Yeah.
No, for sure. But I was like, this is. They only said it twice. Like one guy said it when his truck got stolen, he automatically blamed black people. I was like, that's the world. That's the world I remember.
It's accurate.
And then it's accurate. Like that's like might be the most accurate thing in this based on a true story film. Like most accurate thing. And then Ray Liotta says it as we'll just get one to be like a fall guy or something like that.
Well, he wanted to make sure. I think it was about his girlfriend looking at a black guy. Like, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
No. That was Joe Pesci. I'm talking about when Ray Liotta was talking to he was talking to his wife when she was just like, I don't know about this life, and he was just like, I'm telling you, like those who get caught want to get caught. It's okay. Like,
that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. He drops it then, and then they talk about like Sammy Davis Jr. at the table at that club, but I don't think they ever drop an ER. I don't remember an ER being dropped at all.
Yeah.
But I know those 2 distinctive times they were dropped, and I was like, I was expecting more. Scorsese, I was expecting more, and I was just like, only 2. I was like, all right. I was like, keep the movie going.
Not terrible considering that in the 70s it is very much considered normal for Italians to be saying that constantly.
Oh yeah.
So,
in 2024,
what was interesting,
I'm pretty sure.
What was really interesting was this like almost bigotry towards Italians from Jewish people in this film. There was a little hint at that for a moment, which was interesting. Not something I expected. I didn't think about that the last time I saw it, which is interesting. I was thinking about Sam Jackson in 1990, and the dude had a tendency to get killed in movies a lot back then because he gets killed in this.
Or arrested. Yeah.
Right. He got killed in True Romance. Both like without expecting it, like constantly just getting killed out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it's great, if you want to start as an actor, get killed a lot, and then you can do 150 films and be one of the most watched actors.
And this is why I love Sam Jackson.
He wasn't killed in Coming to America, though.
He was not.
That's what I said.
He just got his ass beat. He just got his ass beat with a mob.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
He was great.
I remember going back and watching that film older, and I was like, that was Sam Jackson.
Yeah, like, whoa. I know.
Yeah, the more you know. I love it.
What was funny?
I love Sam Jackson.
It took me a long time.
What's funny too
his early
is
career,
yeah, is it's like did he shoot all these around the same time? Because it's like he looks almost exactly the
The
same.
same.
in every single
Yeah.
one.
Exactly
Yeah.
the same, for sure.
I'm like,
Well, he didn't.
They
He
were
wouldn't
like-
have to
they were
change
like,
makeup,
"Don't
just
switch up the
clothes,
look."
right? Just
They
yeah,
were like,
Keep the
don't switch up the
blood.
look. We love the
move
look.
over.
We love
Yeah,
it.
keep that look.
Just, you know, we're gonna put a jacket on this time though.
Right.
We love
Here,
the
put a
look.
hat on.
Instead of throw a
Right.
jacket
And a hat because it's cold outside. So.
you know, this time instead of you just walking, you're gonna have a gun.
Uh-huh.
But it's the same. We just want you to do the
Cold
same.
We
burger.
love what you're doing
Weird.
with
You know?
the MF word. That keep
Yep,
using
keep
that. Keep
So that
Flip
means he
point next
died
time
in
you do it or
multiple
something.
big
cities,
things for
right?
you.
But always in LA, right? So he died in New York, he died in Detroit,
Yeah.
he died, but always in LA.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
his
that's
characters
funny.
is just like maybe he's immortal and he just reinvents himself every time he comes back. He just dies.
Well, I
and
love
comes
that
back.
he was
Reincarnate.
willing to
Yeah.
die as characters even once he was really famous, because a lot of actors won't do that.
Oh,
They're like,
yeah,
I won't
yeah,
die
yeah.
on screen, you know.
And that's why
he
he's
was
my
willing to.
favorite, because he's just
So
like
good.
he enjoys what he does. Like he just enjoys it. He's like, oh, this is the part. Okay, cool. I'm gonna do this. Or if he's at like when he told Lucas, like, yo, I want a different color lightsaber.
I want a purple
I want a
lightsaber.
purple one.
Like I'm,
Right.
you know, what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. And then they were like, all right, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't make a big fuss about
No,
it. He wasn't
yeah.
like, it wasn't ego driven. He had a great reason why. It was like a cool little reason why.
So he could
I
see
love
himself in
Sam
this
Jackson.
big scene. Yeah.
You see it? You feel me?
Life
I just
yeah.
love Sam Jackson because he takes. If you go throughout his filmography, he just takes roles. He's like, this seems cool. Let me do this thing, and I die. Cool, give me my money, and I'll dip
Yeah.
out. Like I just
Right.
love Sam Jackson.
He wears
I love him.
T-shirts with his characters on him. Like he
Right.
loves it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh
He
yeah,
loved
and
it,
when they asked him to be
honestly,
in Star Wars, he
that's
was
gonna
like,
be
"I love
me.
Star Wars.
That's
I'm a
gonna be-
nerd. Let me be in
yes.
Star
Yeah.
Wars. I'll
Yeah.
do it."
Like one
which
of my
is great.
favorite movies of his is like it's a supporting role, and is the Long Kiss Goodnight.
Right?
Yeah.
He's,
Yes.
My
so
favorite.
good
One of the
in that
best
movie.
lines ever.
And
I
to
know
me,
he
his
has all the best
one-liners-
lines in that movie.
his
Yeah,
one-liners
To me,
are
and
chef's
to
kiss
me in
or
that
something.
so
film,
good.
I don't even feel like he's supporting. I feel like he's like the second star of that film. Like,
No, totally,
and that's
yeah.
just
He's-
me.
Yeah, they're
And I
like
know
two
technically,
pillars.
comes
I
in,
quote
yeah, yeah.
him.
and I know
quote his
technically
lines
he
from that
is
film
supporting,
on the regular.
but I just feel like
Yeah.
that film wouldn't be what it is without him. Like
Yeah, he
Yeah.
adds
to
so
me,
much
that's what
to
I
it.
mean by like
The-
if you
Yeah.
took one of those people out, it's not the same film. It doesn't have
The
the same feeling.
Lennon
It doesn't have
song
any of that.
scene is gold. Like I always think of the Lennon song, like where he's talking about the Lennon. It's not that,
Yeah.
obviously.
I love him, man. He's great.
Yeah.
The fact that he can play this kind of like just unfortunate, can't do it, just a normal
Mhm.
dude, but then at the same time he can play Nick Fury, where he looks like he's gonna rock your world. Like the dude
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
range for being
then
the
he
same
be
guy
like-
and everything. Like
And
And
his
started
got
his
this weird
career
range.
like in his
bodyguard-
40s. Yeah.
Right.
And he could be like a
Yeah.
hitman's bodyguard and be hilarious and but
Right.
still shoot you with a gun and things like that.
Mhm.
Like it's just
he can
his range
be
is
cool.
amazing.
Yeah,
But
but
like-
but it's weird because even when he's Quentin Tarantino's like character, you know, in Pulp Fiction, he's
Mhm.
cold, but he's still Jules. He's still cool. So
Yeah.
like he's just still Sam Jackson. I
And then he
don't
does
get it,
something like the other guys.
right?
Yeah.
You know, where
Yeah.
He
He'll just die right away.
Or in the
Aim for the
Kingsman,
bushes.
right?
Like what?
oh my
In the
god,
Kingsman,
in
he's
the
got the
dumbest
lisp,
way.
right?
Yeah,
He's got the list,
Yes.
and he's just kind of
Yes.
obsessed with, you know,
so
Yeah.
good.
But then in
not
Django,
kissy
he could play
blood,
somebody.
kissy blood.
But if you go to Django, he could play somebody chilling to the bone. You know what I mean? He
Right.
could play somebody that's like that you're disgusted by.
Yeah.
And he's so amazing in that role. And it's just like his character freaked me out a little bit watching it. I was like,
Yeah.
he's a menace
little
in
bitch.
this film. My God. So like his range, I don't think people talk about his range enough. I just think they're just like, oh, Sam Jackson, great
it's a
actor.
unique
His range is
though.
amazing. It is.
I
He
agree,
doesn't
but
take
it's like
just one type of film. I love
it's
it.
subtle. Like I don't know, not a lot
No,
of people
totally,
are
it
as
is.
subtle as
I
him,
think it
and
is
that's
too.
what's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
I
Because
love
like I
how we're
look at
talking
somebody
about
like
gangster
Morgan.
movies, and then
I
we're just
know.
like loving.
But Sam Jackson was in it, so we
Sam
can't
Jackson
talk about him.
He was in it,
Um,
so we're,
His role
we're
was
still
Yeah.
on
That
small,
theme.
means
but
we need
whatever.
a Sam Jackson week. We need a Sam
Yeah.
Jackson week
Yeah, we
before
do.
Really
our
like
We
Sam
gotta be
Jackson
really
month.
careful.
What are you talking
which
about?
month? Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got 150
But I-
credits.
he's got
like,
so many. I know. There's like,
but I feel like
Yeah.
we need to. It's two films. Maybe we need to switch up to maybe like something comedy, something drama, or like a little mix in between. Some stuff that people haven't really like seen of his. Really, like doesn't get as much recognition as it gets.
now.
Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
You're making me.
Yeah.
You're making me want to dig.
100%.
I'm also I'm also like want to submit a Gina Davis.
Come
Gina
on,
Davis
I'm here for it.
episode.
I love me
Yeah.
some Gina Davis.
Well,
Yeah, dude.
we
I
could
love me some
do
Gina
like
Davis.
2 weeks of Gina Davis and 2 weeks of Sam Jackson, and on that
Oh,
middle
yeah.
episode,
There you
do
go.
Longest Goodnight. I'm like, boom, there we go.
I'm here
Um,
for
Yeah,
it. Man.
Aida just requested Long Kiss Goodnight too, so we got.
The downside is, I
Yes.
think we
Well,
did review Long Kiss Goodnight on the Real Study, but we did say we'd come
Oh.
back if we did.
Don't
We
matter.
did say we would leave movies up for coming back. So
Don't matter. Janine's here. That's a whole. It's a whole
Yes, I
refresher.
love
Yeah,
that movie.
that's a fair
Yeah.
point.
Janine's here.
And a new request. So
Yep,
There
and
you
a
go.
request. I can't.
besides,
you
it's
can't
been a few
deny it.
years. Technically, I have this rule that I tell people: if you watch, and this is something I'm just going to say now, if you watched a movie under the age of 20 and you did not like it, I insist you try again.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's likely you will
Agreed.
Absolutely.
have a
You
different
didn't
view.
understand everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You may not like it still,
Agreed.
and I respect that, but you're going to come away with something different.
At least you
and
give it
that's
another
important.
chance. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
And the same thing, like even if you're an adult, if it's been 10 years, maybe try it again.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you, and if it's panned and everybody hated it, maybe not. Maybe you're just like, you agree.
Right.
But if it's mixed or everybody loved it, maybe look at
Yeah.
I
it.
feel like even if it's panned, go give another go. Another go.
We
Give
only
it
have so
another
many
go,
hours,
even if it's panned.
I'm not watching Morbius ever again.
Exactly.
Don't need to
But here's
revisit
the thing-
Morbius.
Here's the thing, though. You've seen it. It's terrible.
Twice.
It makes sense why you've seen it twice.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Right.
To me, you made the commitment to at least see it twice.
Yeah. True. And there
To confirm.
also there may be another
It's like-
generation from now that's like they think it's like a. They
Oh,
look at
they think it's
comedy.
amazing.
That's a great point.
They might think it's amazing.
So The
Yeah,
Crow is
for
coming
sure.
out, right? And it's getting
Right.
panned
That
hard right now.
trailer
Yeah.
looks
So
amazing.
here's the
I
thing.
don't care what nobody say.
This is their first attempt at making a new reboot of The Crow because all the other ones were sequels. And the
Yeah.
rule is this has to suck so that when they reboot it again in 10 years, it'll be good. It's like the rule.
I don't know. I'm
Feels
gonna
like
step
that.
out on a limb here. And this is recorded for posterity. I'm gonna step out on a limb here. I was very against them making another Crow because I was just like,
Mhm.
all right, we
And
kind of get it.
I don't think you were
was like,
alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think I was either. I was like, all right, y'all, like that's
Yeah.
cool, I guess. But then when I went to go see some movie, I forgot what I'm gonna go see. My brain doesn't really work anymore. Saw the trailer for it, and I was like, yo, this looks amazing because they still take like the essence of The Crow, but then I see
Right.
how they're modernizing it, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like where they're going with this. So trailer wise, because trailers can be deceiving. You can watch a trailer,
Mhm.
then next it's
You're
you
like,
know, it's
they're
nothing. You're
liars.
like,
Half
okay,
of it's in there.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
right, half of it's you're like, okay, none of the scenes I saw in the trailers in this film.
Or it's
Like,
only
all
the
right.
good things in the trailer. Like
Right. Only the good things are in the trailer. Everything else sucks. But I don't know. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that this film is gonna like be amazing. I think this film is gonna like crush in
cool.
a certain way. Now, do I think it's gonna make like $1 billion at the box office? No. But I still think
That's the
it's
way
gonna
things
do
are going now.
very
like,
well.
yeah.
Not at all.
Right.
But I still think it's gonna be like a really good like homage.
Yeah,
to
people
the
will go see
original.
it. Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's about Gen Z seeing it, not anybody else. Like it's not
Right.
about the rest of us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They make art house pictures for our age group. Thanks, guys.
It's about me though. Not
I'm
my
kidding.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Why don't we rate Goodfellas and then get on to the film that I know you guys are going to eviscerate, but that's fine.
As long as you know.
I do
Yeah,
know, and I know
you're-
why, but I also have
Right.
nostalgia goggles with this film, so that's probably why.
Yeah. All right.
Respect, man.
So let's go ahead and do this in the same order. Lala, what do you give Goodfellas? Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas.
I give Goodfellas 8.5. I thought it was a good film. I'll watch it again. Maybe a decade from now, or maybe a
Nice.
few years from now. You never know. But I'll watch it again. Maybe I'll find some new things in it, and maybe I'll just dig a little deeper next time I watch it. But
Mhm.
for all intents and purposes, awesomely directed, great acting across the board from everybody. I think everybody hit, even the background people. Also, Michael Imperioli played a character that died
Mhm.
in a way that I was just like, at least you got yours off, because Joe Pesci's character is nuts.
Man, I know.
But at least you got yours off, man.
Yeah. Ugh.
And then what's his name? I can't remember his name. It's like, is it Corrigan? I don't know his name, but he played the brother in the wheelchair. Like he was,
Oh, yeah.
he's an
Mm.
amazing actor as well. So it was just like seeing a lot of Debbie Mazar was in it. Just
Debbie
like seeing all these
Mazar.
faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love her and
This
whatever
was her
she
first
touches.
role.
I love her in
Yeah,
anything she
That's
does.
crazy.
So like just seeing all these actors that I'm like, oh, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing. And I feel like everybody hit, even like background characters, even characters
Mhm.
that had like 1 or 2 lines. It was cast amazing. Yeah, I gave it an A5. Great film.
Nice. All right. That means you, Brian. What do you think of Goodfellas? We've talked about this. What's your rating? Yeah.
It's a 10
Love it.
for sure. Yeah. I don't. There are no.
I'm shocked.
No, I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't need to explain myself. I think so.
Yeah, I'm shocked. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I think saying it's a 10 says a lot. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay,
I
Janine.
mean, it's one of those movies that like I want to own, and then like every time I watch it, I get something else from it. But I mean, I do this with a lot of movies, but especially movies that I really love. For some reason, I don't know why, but I watch movies no matter how many times I've seen them as if I'm watching it for the first time. Like I still like get so much out of a movie. Like I watched Top Gun Maverick, like finally my physical copy, and I was still just like, couldn't believe I was I was watching it. It's like, but I saw it twice in the theater, so it's like, what the hell? So yeah, Goodfellas is the same thing for me. Every time I watch it, it's just, I love it so much. So
I love it. I love that review. Janine.
I'm giving it a 9. This is not a genre I typically gravitate towards, but really found myself feeling all of the grittiness and griminess and really enjoying that aspect. I love that amongst this male dominated cast, we at least took some time for the female perspective in all of this.
right.
Just a great piece of filmmaking, great performances, and I was really into it. So it was great to kind of actually watch this kind of with fresh eyes again, and I really found myself getting into it. So yeah,
Awesome.
9.
Love it. Myself, this is a 10. This sits on my top 100 list of best films ever made.
Oh, yeah.
Scorsese became a favorite even in my early years because of films like this. And I didn't feel like I had quite the same reaction to a Scorsese film until Wolf of Wall Street, but I do feel like that's just the Wall Street version of the same exact movie.
Right.
I'm not trying to be like, DiCaprio is amazing. Margot Robbie is like, that's probably one of her best roles. Scorsese is still brilliant, everything about it. And it's a cautionary tale. So it's not like promoting this guy, but at the same time, it's still the same fucking movie in a way, because it is the same like biographical approach.
Stylistically too, I think it was
very similar.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the same camera work even.
But I think it works for a biographical tale, so I think that's part of the reason why he did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the shots, the cinematography, just watching even some of the behind the scenes stuff, his energy on set, where he was like, all right, great. Okay, now everybody try it again. Apparently the whole script was written and then they did a rehearsal run. And then when they did the rehearsal run, he would take his favorite ad libs from all the actors, write them down, and then resubmit the script and then shot it. And so half of the film is Joe Pesci saying this or De Niro saying that. And yet none of them got credits for the writing, which is really interesting. But yeah, that's the kind of like off the cuff filmmaking you don't get from other people. I think brings an element to Scorsese films. This is my favorite gangster film. I do like The Godfather. I do think it's really good. This one is, I still think, better just because I just like the pacing of it. I think it's punchier. And I like the narration style more. But that's just me. They're both leaps and bounds above most gangster films, but that's just me. All right. So let's move on to My Blue Heaven. This is like I said, pseudo sequel to Goodfellas. It is based on the same exact human being, Henry Hill, who did testify against the mob. And what's interesting is this is actually done by the screenplay writer's wife of Goodfellas did this film, and she kind of took excerpts that she liked from the interviews. Thank you, Nora Ephron. And then embellished.
I have no idea Nora Ephron wrote this.
Yes, when you said that, I was like, oh, okay, just some lady, and I'm like,
exactly.
Nora Ephron, what?
Yeah, that's like Nora Ephron.
The wife of a guy who did a thing, and I'm like,
I'm sorry.
Wait,
yeah.
Not trying to put it that way. I'm just
some guy's wife.
I'm just trying to
some random wife directing one good time.
That's an incredible,
Only has only written him and Harry Met Sally.
Drops the ball again.
All the
they
great
have an award named after her.
Anyway. So she decided to go ahead and take what she heard from the Henry Hill interviews and, took what wasn't being used in Goodfellas, because there's a moment where we see him at court, and then there's a moment where we see him at the end of the movie, and there's that. So this movie kind of takes place in that chunk before he's just the dude with the newspaper at the end of the movie. And it's like 5% of it is from Henry Hill's story,
Right.
and the rest is
I would have to
just
say,
here's
obviously,
a Steve Martin movie for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I assume none of you had seen My Blue Heaven before this weekend.
I have.
Okay, you had. Okay, good.
Uh-huh.
But you had. Did you know the connection recently, or did you know back then?
No, I didn't know that connection at all. But this is also one of those movies that I saw like prior to age 20.
Right.
You know, like I saw it, and like I didn't like it then.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah, no, I did not like it then either. So, I mean, sorry either, but spoiler alert to my rating. No.
Let's go with Brian first. What do you think of My Blue Heaven?
I I was glad that I got a chance to watch this again, because it's like maybe I'll like it this time. I mean, the cast is great. I mean, I love Joan Cusack, like everything Joan. I mean, what's funny too is like how she just like towers over Rick Moranis.
Yes.
He's like a giant. I was like, whoa, go Rick.
They
She
ran
was
with it.
bending, she was bending deep during that day. She was bending deep.
You're not
boy,
wearing
that's-
heels on this day, Joan. Yeah. So funny. But I mean, there are like a couple of cute bits, and I was like really struggling, like the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, how is this connected? Like, I didn't like see it. But then after you mentioned, like, yeah, it's like 5% of like, I could see that. Yeah. Cause like it's a totally different name of the character. He's not named Henry. It's like Vinny. There's a lot of like, I think this thing takes a lot of like liberties with the like stereotypes and tropes of, mob films, and and it is kind of like there's some cute elements too of like he's kind of clung on to this little town, and then the people and the townspeople have kind of like really taken him in when he like builds this whole like the baseball field thing, and then turns out that's just actually like a really it's just a way to like it's just a cover also, but yeah, ultimately it's just like it just felt like kind of disjointed for me. I did appreciate the little like title cards and stuff like that, kind of representing his like the narration, and yeah, it was just like, just not, I don't know, it just felt very like mediocre to me. It wasn't aggressively mediocre like I mentioned Morbius is, but this one was just mediocre for me. So
all right, mediocre. Janine, what do you think of My Blue Heaven?
So I appreciated that extra context of knowing kind of the history behind this movie. I could kind of see it from that aspect in terms of this character we met in Goodfellas. He really wouldn't adapt to this normal life, so he can't stop just doing crimes because that's just all he knows. So in kind of knowing that context,
like an addiction,
so I kind of appreciated the comedy in this character that we've met not being able to just adapt and still having to commit these little petty crimes and lying and all of that stuff. Just similar to the revelations I had with kind of the types of violence I consume with Goodfellas, I kind of realized that I haven't really seen Rick Moranis in too many straight guy roles. Like the only thing I can think of is like Little Giants. And everything else I've seen him in, he's playing this over the top character. So I kind of liked seeing him play kind of a normal straight laced guy.
Straight guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Even in Parenthood, he's the over the top like OCD guy.
Yes.
Right.
And then with Joan Cusack, same thing, but with her actually kind of being more of a lead. I think the only other thing I can think of is like Adam's Family's Values. Everything else, she's a great supporting character. And I liked seeing her more in the lead. So I appreciated seeing these actors do things that I don't normally get to see them do, because it just shows their versatility and makes them shine a lot more and makes me wish I could have seen them do more of that. So I appreciated it for that aspect. Steve Martin, in his sense of comedy, is kind of touch and go for me. Like I love him in things like Father of the Bride, but I don't really enjoy him in things like Roxanne, and this film was veering towards kind of the comedy that he was giving in something like Roxanne. So just a little too kind of over the top for me. but generally
Yeah.
like having the extra context, like I liked the comedy of him kind of just still like committing crimes all the time. That was kind of funny, and just seeing
Yeah.
these actors do things I'm not used to seeing them do. I also looked up a little bit of kind of stuff about this and saw that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the original choice to play this character.
Yep.
And
Whoa.
yes,
I'm sorry, that makes sense
So
to me.
was
he
Travolta
pulled
was
out
the
to
second
do
choice.
yes,
With the type of
he pulled
comedy it is, it gives me twins. Like that's what it feels
yeah.
like.
I
So
agree
he
with
pulled out to do Kindergarten Cop, and so then they couldn't find
Oh, thank
anybody else. So
goodness.
then Steve Martin stepped in.
Thank
He's
you.
so good
because
in
I need
Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah.
I know.
Right?
I needed that in my childhood. So
Yeah.
Yes.
So John
Yeah.
Travolta was also going to be cast to play the
Yes, I
lead.
saw that too.
And then
Mm.
yeah, so then when he
Hey-oh!
backed
Okay,
I
out,
could
sorry,
see
go ahead
right?
that.
again.
Or
Right.
Look Who's
Yeah.
Talking Too.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
needed that in my life too as well.
Right?
So
I
thank
love
y'all
those
for
movies.
saying no and doing
Right.
the films that I needed for my childhood.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, there were some comedic beats that got me, and I loved this cast. But ultimately, it was okay. It was
Yeah.
okay.
La, what did you think
Feel
of
that.
My Blue Heaven?
Oh, I didn't like this at all.
Can you tell us how you
No.
really feel, please?
Yeah.
Yes, I
You're holding
can. This
back.
shit
You're
was
holding back.
dog
Really?
shit. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, listen. Okay, so look, Joan Cusack was amazing. All the things you guys said about Joan Cusack, Rick Moranis is like that's how I felt. I love seeing Joan in a more not to say that she's not amazing in everything she does, because she is, but she has a tendency to play very docile, awkwardly docile characters that are kind of like very quirky in a way, and she was very like straight laced in this. Like she had her comedic
Right.
moments, but
Yeah.
she was very much like a very by the book straight laced person, and you don't get to see that from her in a
Yeah.
lot of like her filmography. So it was cool to see that like she kind of fell into that kind of role, and that's what kind of like made her career. So it was pretty cool to see like her just kind of be like the straight woman, just kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
this is wrong, you need to do this. Her background with like the whole like her like separation, like her divorce and her kids, that was like nice to see her kind of like in that type of role. Rick Moranis, this made me feel like I needed to see him in more straight-laced things.
Yeah.
If they kept putting him in comedy, I'm like, he's a phenomenal actor.
He's great.
If they would just allow him to act, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't always have to be like the butt of the joke, or you know, the one that's like doing kooky things. Not to say that he's not great in those roles,
Great
because
at
like
that, yeah.
Ghostbusters, he's great in that.
I'm
Honey, I
like
Shrunk the Kids,
master
he was
of
great
those,
in that.
peak Moranis.
You know what I mean? You know, like he's
Little Shop of
great in
Horrors,
those things.
yeah.
Side
Yeah, Little
note,
Shop of
they
Horrors,
were about to create another Honey, I Shrunk the Kids called Shrunk, with Josh Gad as his son Nick, and he was going to come back as Wayne, and it kind of got dropped. So
Maybe
I
I'm
just want to
glad
throw that
about
out there.
that.
It was kind of got dropped. They were great in this. I'm on the same page with Janine, where for me, Steve Martin's comedy is hit and miss for me. There's times like Break It Down the House that I love him.
Right?
and most, you know, and most of
Yeah.
the time, I think his comedy hits better for me when he has a great opposing comedic person.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, stuff like that. Like, is that him?
Right.
I think that's him.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. So like when he had like in this one, he had no comedic like back and forth with somebody. So
Yeah,
it was just
right.
him the entire film, like ha-cha-cha, and I'm just like, this is not.
And Rick Moranis is being
know.
pretty straight.
If,
So
yeah,
Like,
if Rick
he's
had
pretty
played an
straight.
over-the-top FBI agent, maybe you're right. Maybe there would have been
You know,
more of that.
If they had like somebody to be that for him, like I maybe for me the film would have like been different, but
Right.
I got so tired of him not getting it that I was bored with the film. like there was never a point where he was like, man, maybe I should like calm
got
down a
me.
little bit.
No,
no, he just makes up
and
some
do things.
reasoning.
Everything
Yeah.
was here, and all of that energy expelled in this film made me tired, and I was just like, this is not the film for me. This is not the comedic Martin that I need. I don't need this. This doesn't work for me.
Even his hair kind of
story-
didn't work for me.
Even
Oh,
his
that-
hair,
yes.
like, somebody
It
say
never
that.
changed.
It
Ever.
never-
It never moved.
Yeah.
I know.
It never changes. And then part of me
Yeah.
was like, in what world does the witness protection like FBI doesn't know that they got another witness protection person in the mob, and you put another person in
All
the
in the
mob in the
same
same
town.
place.
Yeah, they
You
just put them all. I know.
That's
Those
just a
witness
90s
protection town.
comedy trope. Like
I was
that's
like,
just a,
Yeah.
that's not. But so it's like, I'm like, that's not a
That
thing.
was your pallbearer.
I was like, what are-
you dirty rat.
But
Yeah.
I also get it because it is comedy. Like you're trying to like do this
Right,
funny
yeah.
thing. So like I'm gonna still bring it up because to me it's stupid, but I also understand this entire film for me. I saw where the comedy was. I just never laughed at it.
Yeah.
It was never funny to me. I was like, oh, that's supposed to be funny. I get why it's supposed to be funny. It
You're like,
didn't make me laugh.
I recognize this is comedy. Yet
Yes.
it's not making me laugh.
Yet it's not making me laugh.
Moving
Like,
on.
you
Thank
know. And I was like, next scene, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Because I forgot to bring this up during GoodFellas. My one gripe about GoodFellas is we never see his family ever again, and that's my only gripe about GoodFellas, because it didn't seem like he had a bad relationship with his mom, and we see his brother when it's like needed in the plot to see his, like, I was like, I
Right.
get you wanting to leave, like you didn't want to be around that lifestyle, you wanted to have a better lifestyle, but your family we saw her family more than we saw his family, and that's my only gripe about GoodFellas. Like
That's because it's a found family. He found his family.
No, I get that, but I still wanted to see his family. I still wanted to see like did he just abandon them? Like, did he not give them money? Did he not help them out? But that was just me. Like, I just wanted to see a little trickle of his family. But that's fine because
it's in My Blue Heaven when he goes back to New York. You see his
Stop.
And you see them like
You see them waiting for him at the airport.
Mama.
Stop.
I love it.
To me, honestly, that scene was actually funny to me because I can understand like the spoof and the trope that they were doing with that, but I didn't laugh. Again, I never chuckled once throughout this whole film. I just noticed the comedy, and to me, if I notice your comedy and it doesn't affect me, what are we doing here? I don't. This film for me was. I could have done without this for the rest of my life.
I can't say this about Brian because he saw it younger. But had the two of you seen this in '90, you might have chuckled a little more because again, it's a product of its time.
It is. Yeah, I will say
so.
that it's definitely.
I don't think so. I grew up. My thing is this: I grew up in the '90s. I know '90s comedy. I understood every comedic beat. It just didn't land for me.
Let me put it this way.
Like having that,
right, but you have nostalgia attached to a lot of those things too.
Yeah, for sure.
Too, like,
and I think having that context of the connection is what is making me even enjoy it slightly.
A little bit,
I think that's really interesting and smart, and I wouldn't have had that context back then. So,
So this is why Young SniDBitS is terrible, because I liked this movie when I was younger, and I liked it mostly because I was big on Steve Martin and big on Rick Moranis, and for me, I'd been watching Steve Martin since The Jerk. I had already seen Parenthood by the time I saw this movie. Like he's versatile. Like he can play the every guy without being too funny, but he can also play the kind of vaudevillian, ridiculous, like over the top, falling down on himself kind of character. And there's a little bit of both of that in this. The scene where he's got the shopping cart and he's trying to come around the corner, I still giggle at that a little bit because it's him trying to adapt to real life. And I think something this movie does that is kind of it's not huge, but it's subtly there, is they're showing kind of what Weeds did as a show, like just how suburban is very plain Jane and very, cars in a row. There's literally shots of like all the cars and they're all the exact same model. They're just different colors. And this movie has little bits of that are basically showing how boring this is, even to people who live in it. Right. Everybody feels trapped. And by the end, when they've intermixed the gangsters with the people, everybody's happy because now you got a little bit of Italian mafia in your Southern California suburb. Right? Because we all want that. No. I didn't have taste in the 90s. I've realized that. I've like genuinely realized that. I just consumed. I consumed it. It was on TV. I was a nighttime movie flipper kid, right? So I had the remote and I would flip through and I found this movie and I was like, oh, Steve Martin. Oh, this is really stupid. But now I watch and there's zero character development for the most part. Maybe with the exception of the two cops, right? The DA and the FBI agent have a little growth because they get together. But other than that, everybody's exactly the same in the end as they were in the beginning, which is pretty boring. There isn't an actual like 3-act structure of
really
any
a
kind.
plot.
There's no story
really a
other than
plot.
like getting from A to B, like
Yeah.
it's beginning to end. So I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
This time I analyzed the crap and I was like, oh crap, this movie's not good. But I still like it because I was a kid when I saw it. Is that weird? No, I think
Nah, I
everybody
get
has
it.
some of those.
Yeah.
So we get the nostalgia
I
behind
got
it,
those.
something like this. Yeah.
Like if you
no,
guys
look-
watched the pirate movie, you guys would
So
eviscerate it.
So bad. People
Yeah.
love the movie Lady
I
Hawk,
love
but I
it.
thought it was bad back in the day. So that's just
Right.
me. It's
Now I want to go back
know.
and watch some stuff.
Right.
Something like
Yes.
Yeah.
The new lens.
yeah. with the
although
new
it
lens.
sometimes leaving it in the nostalgia is the better way.
Right.
It sometimes hurts to bring it forward and go, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
my kid self was an idiot.
But see, here's the thing though, right? I feel like you can still have nostalgia about a film and still enjoy it and still watch it, but then still be able to be like, it missed the mark in a couple of ways.
Take a
Now that I'm
critical lens
older
to it.
That's
and I
fair.
see it missed the mark in some ways. Because I'm gonna take Janine for example. I'm gonna pull you out, Janine. I lay you to pieces, but I'm gonna pull you out when she
I
talking
love you to
about
pieces, but
But
bus, here comes this bus. No, I'm just like, no. When you were talking about was it Batman Forever, right? Or was it
Yeah.
Batman and Robin? Right,
Batman
Batman Forever, right?
no, she was talking about the
Batman
lips one.
Forever.
The lips one.
Right. So talk about Batman Forever. I have all the Batman films. Like I love Batman.
Mhm.
Batman Forever is terrible, but I love it at the same time.
Right.
So I'm right there on that
Yeah.
boat, train, whatever transport we're using. I'm sitting
Mhm.
right next to you.
Boat train. I like it.
Train.
On a
Boat
boat
train.
train.
A boat train.
Boat train.
A boat train.
Come on, boat train. We about to create something on this podcast. But like to me, you can say because the reason why I think we both love it is nostalgia because of the time that we grew up in, because of we didn't have anything remotely close to this when it like came out. Like we didn't have anything. So watching that film, we're like, oh my God, Batman, love it. Like, oh my God. And so like
Oh man,
but now
McDonald's one.
being older,
Yeah,
I love that so much. I don't have any about old stuff like that anymore. But growing up now and watching it, you're like, ooh, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
My God. But
No,
but you're still entertained.
You
by
still
it. I
have
don't
this
see
nostalgia love for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
feel like
I don't know
have
if you can do
both.
this,
I think I have
but
both.
can you put up a picture of Val Kilmer's lips in the opening scene of Batman Forever? Could you do that for me?
We got that.
Do you got a cut of that? Is that possible? It's quite literally the focus for that Schumacher puts
Yeah.
with the lighting on it, and his lips stick out of the suit, and
my
it's just it looks
gosh.
like nothing but lips in that scene, and I'm just like, no, you really don't have to. I'm kidding, but
Come on, the
it's
producer,
so
please.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Just
Bring
look
it
for
up.
it. Come on,
Yes.
producer. Yes.
So yeah, I get the nostalgia goggles, but I do also look back and go, I would have watched anything they fucking put in front of me in the 90s. Like if they were like, here's
Yeah.
a movie, I would be like, I'll watch that. And
Yeah.
then now I'm like, man, I wish I would have spent more time watching the shit people told me to watch rather than whatever
Mhm.
whim I was on at the moment.
No, I love it.
Because I missed
love
a lot
having
of
all
it.
that.
But
I
I
love
guess I
having
have a
all
lot
that.
I have a lot of bad film to compare things to now. So I guess I have a library
Right.
of bad film to
And your
be like,
taste
"Don't
changes
do
as you
that."
get older. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like
And you're a
when
kid.
your mood changes on some stuff. You're like, oh, okay, I love that, but it's kind of trash, but I still love it. Like,
But I saw both of these
It's
movies
trash,
at
but
about the
it's my
same
trash.
time. Like
Yeah.
they
You
were
feel
like I was
me?
like 13
Yes.
when I saw both of
Fine.
them, and I can tell I love both of them, but I still love Goodfellas way more. So like I don't know. At least I had some taste, maybe.
I still feel like you had taste. I don't like you ragging on your younger self. I feel like your younger self had taste. It's just that you got older and
My-
it's like, okay, now I like these things. I like
My
these
favorite
things because
movie by the
this
time
hits
I was
differently.
17 was Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater.
I love it. Mm.
Now, I mean,
love
don't get me
that
wrong.
film.
I think it has. There's a lot to that film. There's a lot we could talk about with that film, but it's not. It's just it's an after school special movie. Like really,
Yeah.
like it really is. Just with like more real stuff.
But I
Yeah,
still
there's
like those
there's a
movies
better
still have
cinematography.
their
I mean, yes,
they
we
still
all
have their
our-
merits. They still have their
I wouldn't be me
like,
without
one
that
of my,
movie.
One of my
I agree
favorite
with that.
films is Brendan Fraser, Ricky Lake, Mrs. Winterbourne.
Yeah,
You've ever
Yes,
seen
I
Mrs.
love
reviewed
Mrs.
that.
Winterbourne.
We reviewed
Yes,
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I saw it on the
Right?
Letterboxd.
I love
So
that
sad
film.
I missed Mrs. Winterbourne week.
Yeah.
I love Mrs. Winterbourne, but if you ask some of my friends, they're like,
What is that?
Like, oh, here
What
she
is
goes
this?
on her Mr.
And
Mrs.
you feel me on a
Winterborn
Mrs. Winterborn
Please.
rant? Like, oh, here we
I
go.
don't
Yes.
All right, so
And I'm
so
like,
this is a
but
safe
y'all don't
space.
know where
get
to
it.
check out. Like,
So I can
Yeah.
tell you guys that my other favorite film, because I was a Christian Slater like fanatic when I
Love
was
Christian Slater.
11 or whatever.
Christian
Gleaming
Slater
the Cube was the other big movie for me when I was a kid. The skateboarding Tony Hawk Christian Slater movie. It's really bad.
Oh,
Like it's really bad. But it
I mean,
had
I'm
like
a fan of Airborne, so the
then it's
rollerblading movie.
but this was like
you know.
there was like anti-racism in this movie, and there was like
Right.
good versus evil, like really showing like society to a degree. But it was all about skateboarding, which made it amazing.
yeah.
Yes.
Terrible.
I mean, my
film.
all-time favorite movie is the ice skating movie, The Cutting Edge from
Come on.
1993.
Yeah.
So
Toe pick.
yes,
And
exactly.
it's like a billion versions of that film.
Yes, they made
It's
they
like-
made
it's like-
sequels.
It's like so many sequels of that
Yep.
film. Like I think
Right?
it's like 4 or 5 sequels of that film, right?
It's such an obscure thing to make sequels of, but
right?
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 sequels of that film, and then people have been like, "We just gonna recreate what this is, but we're not gonna call it The Cutting Edge." You know what I'm saying? So like,
Right?
it's a lot of films that took that trope of
Yes.
like, I used to be this thing,
The
and now I'm over
love-hate
here to do
kind of-
this thing, and I
yes.
met my love of my life.
Happy
And I love
Gilmore
it.
stole everything from Cutting Edge, right? Come on.
essentially, yeah.
No, but I hear you. Apparently, Goldie Hawn was a producer on My Blue Heaven because she was originally supposed to play
What?
Stubbs. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
funny.
so-
oh, can we shout out Carol Kane?
Yes.
Oh,
Even
yes.
for like a
God.
second, but
I know.
I love Carol Kane.
I wanted them to be together,
I love
but they
her.
were in the
She's-
dirt, so it's
She has a great look about her. She has a great voice about her.
Yes, I love her.
And
I know,
I
I
love everything
noticed.
about whenever she pops up in things. She was my favorite person in the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Like she's my
Oh, yeah.
favorite character.
So good. Yeah.
She's amazing. She's just an amazing actor across the board. So Shaldine,
I think
her
I've been
name also-
saying one of her quotes more than any
Her
other my
name.
whole life.
I
Um,
said, y'all know that was a black character. Shaldine, stop the press. Stop the press. That was supposed to be for a black woman. And I guess they couldn't find one. And they just didn't change the name. Because Shaldine, come on now.
Yeah.
All right, now. But I love her, so she's great.
I don't know. I think my favorite role of hers would be Scrooged, where she plays
Scrooged,
the,
yes.
ghost,
Yeah.
the ghost of
Yeah,
Christmas
yeah.
Present.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh man.
But no, I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. I can't. Still to this day, I say it constantly. I don't know why, but it's a line I can't not say.
Yes,
Um,
so
Yeah.
I think we're actually kind of running short today. I don't know if
Shout out to her in
if the
Texas.
picture of lips was ever
Ooh,
found. I
yeah.
wasn't watching if it was ever put up, so we'll we'll assume it wasn't. If she didn't find the lips, then that's fine. But we do need to rate this film, and we are going to talk about it. Might be next week's films or the week after, but we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, so I think it would be a great choice. But I've been picking the films a lot lately, but I don't think anybody ultimately cares either. So let's rate this while we see if she can get the clip. Let's start with Brian.
Yeah. Damn. I gotta give it. Oh, there it is.
beautiful.
Oh my.
Beautiful.
Boom.
Lips.
I mean,
Just
they're
in
good
case.
Lips,
lips.
man.
He got some good lips, man. I ain't
He got
mad
some
at
good
it.
Yeah,
lips.
you
He
guys
does.
have.
People compared him to Keaton lips.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Kilmer's lips stick out more. They're more voluptuous,
Yeah, they
if
do.
you will.
For more, yes.
Yeah.
Somebody drew Kilmer's. Somebody drew his. Like, it was just like perfection. You know.
I'll have to show you the
I think
shot. I
Brian-
mean, specifically,
Brian-
I'll send it to you later. So, anyway, you were gonna give us your rating on My Blue Heavens.
Yeah. I gotta say it's like a 6 for me.
All right.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. Most horror movies are below that. So,
Yeah.
on average, I should say.
Yeah. It wasn't like make me want to like tear out my eyes or anything like that. So.
That's
Yeah. I was just like, it's there.
It's
You
a
know,
movie.
It's a
there's
film.
good people in it.
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Right. It's a film.
Like,
It did something.
so.
Fair enough. All right, La, what do you think? My Blue Heaven.
Give it a 5. I ain't never watching this again in my life. I'll say what I usually say when I give something like below a 6. Somebody would have to be watching this and to be like, I really want to watch this for me to possibly watch it. I'll go home. But
And then you'd tell them the Goodfellas connection and talk about that instead. And-
I'll definitely tell them the GoodFellas connection if they want, if they didn't know. But it's a 5. I'm never watching this movie again. It did nothing for me.
That's fair.
Nothing. I had to go to sleep after this to reset myself.
That's fair. Janine, what did you think of My Blue Heaven?
I'm also giving it a 6. I appreciated seeing actors do things that I don't normally get to see them do. Having that extra Henry Hill context, I appreciated the comedy of him not acclimating to this lifestyle and just committing a bunch of crimes. So I appreciated kind of the comedy in that concept relating those two characters. So yeah, kind of middle of the road 6 for me.
Yeah.
Respect.
The nostalgia goggles are still going to force this to a 7.
I love
also
it. I
own
love
it.
Appreciate that.
I love it.
Maybe one day I'll be able to show people the connections again, because I think that's at least
If
fun.
it was less than that, Snitty, I would have been very disappointed in you.
I mean, I think ultimately, if I took the nostalgia goggles off, I would agree with your guys' ratings. I do, but I still giggle at these moments because I remember what I felt like when I laughed at them when I was younger. So it's hard to rate.
That's all that matters.
So,
I love it.
Yeah. As much shit as I talked, I still there. So yeah, I was talking about potentially having you guys do the Island of Lost Souls, Island of Dr. Moreau duology, if you will, a little bit more Charles Lawton for law. I think, Brian, you haven't seen Lost Souls either, I assume. Is that correct?
No, I've not.
Okay, so that'll be a good combination. And if you guys, for a bonus, want to read the H.G. Wells book, no, okay, don't do that.
Homework.
Write
a 10-page paper
afterwards. Yeah, exactly.
If you want the
I get that
extra
this is
credit,
the real university, but calm down, sir.
We're not the ones that's supposed to do homework.
Right. We don't read books.
The audience does
everyone
the
else
homework.
Right.
They should be learning.
I mean, maybe we can pick up the Cliff's Notes or something, just so we can compare. But I've heard that none of the movies did the book any justice, but that's always what everybody says, so that's not that weird. So that's a possibility for next week. You might see us doing a couple of movies, horror remake, and then we'll talk about the production of Island of Dr. Moreau and Val Kilmer and Brando, and Brando's insistence on having an actor who was 2'1" in every single scene, no matter what, even though whatever.
So wait, what?
Yeah, somebody who was as famous as Brando in his home country, but in our country not so famous, which is really interesting. So check us out next week. We may not take a summer break in the traditional sense. We may just continue to roll with doing fun, different things. Some people might take the break, some people might not. We'll see how that goes. But no matter what, even if we do take a summer break, we will be back in September, October for season 4. But there's definitely a few episodes left, bare minimum, for this season. All right. Hopefully, we'll have Tyler with us next week. If not, that's okay. You will not, again, be seeing MrSniDBitS. You'll just get to see my frozen mug for a while. Yeah, that's just me being a weirdo. That said, this has been episode 30 of season 3 of The Real Study. Thank you for joining us for this all gangster evening,
everybody.
And we will see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.